The following is a presentation of Morning Drive Media.
Are we alone? What is already here? Is the thing that goes bump in the night real or imagined? I'm paranormal reporter Nolan Guthrie, and this is Mysteries and the Unexplained on the Napzok Files podcast feed.
What are your prime directives?
Serve the public trust.
Welcome, everyone. I'm Nolan Guthrie, paranormal reporter and director of the Guthrie Learning Center of the Unexplained. I met Ken Napzok while he was a disc jockey for KWBR in Pismo Beach, California in the mid-90s. I was there investigating urban legends like the ghostly White Lady of the Napomo Mesa and the alleged haunting of the historic Rose Victorian Inn in Oceano, California, later called the Crystal Rose Inn. From there, a friendship grew over a shared desire to search for Bigfoot. And now we're here with the Mysteries and the Unexplained on the Napzok Files podcast feed. We're very happy to be here. My first guest today is a filmmaker turned UFO alien expert. I'll let him explain more. A sighting in Michigan years ago during the filming of an independent film changed his life. To tell that story and to dive in deep to the mysteries and the unexplained, please welcome filmmaker Riley Kelbert.
Thank you very much for having me today. This is a huge honor. I appreciate everything you've said so far.
Well, your story is fascinating to me because you were, shall we say, someone who was not concerned with the unexplained.
That's correct.
You were pursuing your films as a Hollywood filmmaker.
That is correct as well.
You made an independent film, I do believe, and you had to shoot for tax purposes in Michigan.
That is correct, yes. It was a horror movie that was based a lot of personal stuff growing up, and so it was before crowdfunding. So what I did was funded it myself by asking family. And so we got enough money, and we went out to Michigan and to film this thing. And as you mentioned, utilizing the tax credits, and that's when my life changed as I know it.
Yes,
so to speak.
Let's talk about this. Your story is documented. You can go throughout this show here on the Mysteries of the Unexplained. I will give you websites for research, where you can find other stories, where you can share your story. Websites like the shadowlens.net, bigfootsightings.org, and the nuforc.org, which is the website that has a lot. We know that there's not all of them, but it's the National UFO Reporting Center, and I believe this story can be found on there.
That's correct. It has been documented. The dates do check out. I was there for the phenomenon.
And when was this?
This was in 2009. I believe the days are still a little bit sketchy in my mind, but It was anywhere between the end of September 2009, I would say around September 21st, between October 5th. Is when the phenomenon happened, and I do believe that I can't remember the date because of the severe flashes in the sky.
I was going to say, is there anything that happened in this incident, this encounter, that may have affected time itself?
That's what I believe, yes. So I will paint the picture.
Please.
I was with my associate producer and the director of the film, and as we were walking on a location scout, we noticed a hovering light with a green halo around it, just yay over the horizon. And it was traveling probably exactly, at least, but more precisely, 50 knots against the wind. And then it stopped
against the wind
completely in the sky and hovered there with the green halo. Now, my director at the time, who I'm going to not name because he is, at the moment, between things, and he's asked me not to say his name out loud. So Kai said that this is happening again, and I said, "What is happening again?" And he said that they're here.
They're here, said the unnamed.
Said Kai, yeah.
Director.
So Kai said that they're here, and I said, "Who?" And he said,
"Fair question.
They're back."
Wow.
And it was my understanding then at that moment that he was referring to aliens. And for me, I was looking at this ball of light with a halo around it, as I mentioned, and I said, aliens. That looks like a UFO. And he said, yeah. So
well, it should. We always do say aliens and the UFO are not necessarily the same thing. There are government experiments. I am totally aware of that and a believer in many sightings being nothing more than weather balloons and fancy aeroplanes.
Correct.
But aliens, more often than not, is the answer.
that's where I was going with this, because I've seen a number of military exercises. In fact, I come from a long line of military personnel.
Okay.
My father was in the Air Force. My mother was in the Air Force. My grandfather was in the Army.
Okay.
My great-grandfather was, he was a desk clerk at the post office, but he did send a lot of letters from military. But so I come from a long line of this, and we always look at these phenomenons as experiments, so to speak. But because Kai was with me, or who will remain nameless, this person has believed that he had been abducted a number of times by aliens. And so he said, when they're back, I remembered that story he told me, and I immediately deduced that this was no weather experiment, and that this was in fact aliens buzzing the tower, to use the parlance of youth, or at least Top Gun reference
from the motion picture Top Gun. Yes. So your friend, the unnamed producer and cohort, did he? Was he a Michigan native, or were you both in there?
No, he was. He was not. He was. We flew him out, especially from Los Angeles or Hollywood. Sure. And
where dreams are made.
Where dreams are made. Absolutely. And he submitted his reel to our Craigslist ad. And
is that a normal process to get a job in Hollywood?
I would say so. I would say that Craigslist is an untapped resource for talent.
What about tagging creators on Twitter?
I know it's been done, and in fact, I've now done that. Moving forward, this was a lot before.
Yeah, things
Twitter.
are changing in the business.
Things are.
This is 2009, an old school type of
right. Twitter was just but in its infancy at the moment.
A digital want ad, basically.
Sure.
So, Kai, I'm so sorry. We'll cut that out. Your friend gets the job, but he's not a Michigan native.
He is not. He was just a native of filmmaking and a native of life, I think is what he said.
A student of life. Did he feel at the time that they had followed him there, or was this a coincidental encounter with the unexplained?
This is where it gets interesting. Yes, they followed him.
Wow.
So from what I've learned from the man is that he said is that he has been abducted no less than 60 times in his life since he was very young.
60 times.
And that he believes that much like National Geographic
is
does,
the publication. Yes.
much like National Geographic does, is that
you could say Nat Geo if it's
Nat
easier.
Geo
on you.
does is that they take sharks out of the ocean and they tag them, and then they put sharks back in the ocean, and then they monitor.
Right.
And so what Kai said was that they did in fact tag him on one of these multiple alien visits, and they have put him back out into the wild, so to speak, and that they have been studying him ever since. Now, this was information that probably would have been important for him to tell me at the time when we hired him, because I didn't want to bring any unwanted eyes and or problems.
Yes, you're making a motion picture. You don't want alien interference.
Correct. Or anything, TMZ or the press, or so I just wanted to keep some. But what I learned very quickly on, as we were prepping and we were in the woods, which was where we were in Michigan. It was near Lake Michigan, which is a town. It's not lake, the lake. Because you can't film on a lake unless you have a boat.
Hard.
Yeah, it'd be very hard. But
a floating platform.
Right, and this wasn't Jaws.
No. I don't understand the reference.
No, it's a great movie. But but it was Lake Michigan, which is a city outside of Flint, Michigan. And so there we were in the woods. And one of the nights that we were prepping, he basically told me all the stories of his alien abduction, that he does believe that aliens are there.
Before the encounter or after the encounter? This is
before the encounter.
Before the encounter.
As I'll get to. So
okay. Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off.
No, it's fine. It's fine. He told me all these stories about aliens and the abduction, and truly believes in their existence. And
Right.
I rolled my eyes and I did the thumb trick with him because I said, I don't get this. And so I showed him my disappearing thumb.
A simple magic trick to show you
Correct.
do not believe in the phenomenon of
Everything can be
encounters.
explained.
Yes.
You roll your thumb.
Yes.
And there it is. That's life, right?
That's what many think.
That's right. So
Now I imagine you have a different tone.
I do. Because what I saw that night and what I learned after is that when those lights appeared overhead, I believed for the very first time that we were not alone in this galaxy.
Right.
And so
It's a transformative experience.
it was. It was something that has deeply affected my soul. I have never been the same. I have now studied ever since that day.
Absolutely.
My next 5 features all are about alien abduction and aliens. They all are currently being crowdfunded through Twitter.
Not with the family, no.
No, the family, I
great.
don't speak to them anymore, unfortunately.
Is that related to the encounter?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay.
They have disowned me, but that is a radio something show.
Do you
for
make?
another time.
Do you put these films on the YouTube channel? I have a son who makes videos.
No, I don't do
video.
YouTube because
Okay.
I do believe that YouTube is actually stealing from creators.
I do believe that's probably true.
So YouTube is having their own issues that I don't want to be a part of it. And so what we're trying to do is from the ground level build our own video sharing website,
You're right.
which is a part of the crowdfunding that you can see on Twitter. I've tagged a numerous of people. I've tagged Walt Disney a number of times, Jack Bezos. I've tagged
Yes.
Teslatron. I've tagged a number of people waiting for them.
Right.
Because I think they understand more than anything what I'm trying to do.
Right.
Which is crowdfund a new YouTube platform and also make my 5 features all from the point of view of an alien abductor.
Because were you yourself abducted? You keep talking, or you just inspired by your unnamed cohort's story?
So I'll go back to the story. So when that light was hovering,
take me to the Michigan forest.
so when the light was hovering over the woods, and Kai said, or
Yes, we'll bleep that out later.
thank you. Kai said that here we go again. And I said, well, that look, what is that? And he said, it's the aliens. They're coming back for me.
Back.
And I said, what? And he said, yes. And I said, really? So then we're sitting there and that light stopped. It hovered in the
stood there.
sky. It stopped literally. It defied the motions of graphics of physics. And it just stopped. And then it emitted a light that exploded over the horizon.
The light exploded.
The light lit up the treetops and everything around us. And I probably should mention that I also had my associate producer there who screamed and ran back into the cabin. It
third
scared him so
person,
much. Scared him so much.
Yet to be named.
Right. So he
ran away from the scenario.
Correct. So he ran and we were right there and we couldn't believe it. Now, at this point, the light started to drift off into the horizon, going off into the sky. Mind you, the whole halo of green light was still around it. And Kai said to me, did you see that? I said, yes. And then all of a sudden, it disappeared into the sky, becoming one of the stars off in the distance.
Disappeared.
Now, mind you, in that moment, another unidentified flying object and or alien came up behind us.
A second one.
Flashed the lights again.
Okay.
I screamed.
You screamed.
I don't remember much after that.
Okay.
This is where I believe I was transported to another dimension.
Okay.
And in time-space continuum, as I've learned,
which is tricky.
there is no time.
Yes.
There is a continuum of time, but it all exists in space. It's very confusing.
I understand. A lot of people report coming back in modern times in this locked in a space-time continuum conundrum that their Google Calendar app only shows happy face.
That could be. I didn't have the Google Calendar app at the time.
At the time, it was not in play.
But when I woke up,
Right.
I was in the broom closet of the main house where we were shooting the film.
Okay.
And I was sitting in the bucket that we used to put water in and clean up the floors.
Right. Okay.
I woke up there. I came out of the closet. I asked what happened. And Kai was on the couch and he said, "You have no idea." And I said, "No, I don't. I don't remember anything."
don't.
So the last thing I remember was that second light that flashed, causing my paralysis, my amnesia, my not knowing where I am until I woke up there. I asked Kai, how much time has passed since that light flashed? And here's what's interesting.
Okay.
He said 1 minute and 27 seconds.
Is all the time that it passed?
Is all the time that passed.
How much time did you feel had passed?
I felt like at least 3 years had passed of my life.
Do you have memories of those 3 years?
No.
Nothing. Maybe relationships started and ended during this time?
Could be.
Meals purchased? Anything?
I have no idea what happened. All I remember, I was in the forest.
Right.
Then I was in the broom closet.
In the broom closet. Do you think that was a symbol from your abductors?
I'll get there. So what I do believe, though, this is what the interesting part is about the space-time continuum. Where we were in the forest is at least a 5-minute walk from the main house.
Okay.
So if I was out for 1 minute and 27 seconds, how do you explain myself getting back to the broom closet within that time when I at least need 5 minutes?
Virtually impossible.
It is impossible. It is impossible.
Completely impossible.
It is completely impossible.
Okay.
So I do believe that my consciousness and body left our atmosphere, our Earth, whatever you want to call it, our space-time continuum, for exactly 1 minute and 27 seconds, and then I was deposited back into the closet.
Okay.
At that moment, probably on 1 minute 26 and 59 seconds.
Okay.
And there I was. Now I asked Kai, where were you?
Yeah.
And he said he just walked back and sat down and just started drinking. So you tell me.
In a minute 45 seconds, minute 50.
I didn't even think about that.
A lot of people don't during these circumstances.
How did he get back?
He could have been abducted again. Could have been the 61st time.
It could be.
Do you still have contact with this gentleman?
Oh, yes, we do. He's actually going to be directing all of the next 5 features.
Do you feel the movies are more of a communication to those that may be watching you from beyond?
Yes, this is the basis for my whole life's work. Now, at that moment, I realized that aliens are in fact real, and that the aliens do show up.
Are there?
They're there.
Okay.
In fact, the New York Times just released an article declassifying information from their Navy pilots of unidentified flying objects that they cannot explain. And I've been trying to call the New York Times. They have since blocked me. They have blocked me on Twitter.
I am banned from their facilities as well.
Oh, you know what's going on. Have you taught? It's Bob, isn't it? The guy Bob.
It's a lot of people there who I feel are just not that they're hiding the truth, that they just don't want to face the truth. And they have evidence that could lead us to more discoveries.
They are hiding. They are hiding because what the New York Times article did, what these Navy gentlemen did, in being as brave as they were, is they have said, and there is video now, that there are aliens out there. And so what I have learned in my research is that UFOs, alien phenomena, sightings, close encounters,
experiences,
these aren't random at all.
Right.
In fact, what happened is what I've learned is that the government back in 1982 got an idea.
Yeah.
Is that they were willing and able to want to communicate with our interstellar friends.
Oh, yes.
And that they got the idea from that movie that Spielberg did called The Terrestrial.
You are referring to Project Phone Home.
Project Phone Home. Thank you. You understand. Yes.
I am very much aware of this project. Still, many of the documents are classified. Some are not.
They are, but I was able to get my hands on them. And basically, a general, very high up, on a Sunday, decided to take his family to ET. He watched it. Light bulb. We can create a phone using household items.
Yep.
We can get a direct line to these guys. And that once that bridge, that interstellar bridge was established, I have learned, and this is no joke, aliens call us every time before they come here for a visit because they want to give us a heads up so that we can get it on camera because what we're leading to is a renaissance, a sort of Star Trek universe in which we all unite and we go together into the stars. They're not here to hurt us.
You feel it's there for me. I believe that too. Sometimes the things that go bump in the night are not necessarily evil. Sometimes they are. That's also different phenomenon, different experiences. It's the spiritual realm. This is not so much the spiritual realm, though I do believe alien bodies and alien organizations have the ability to go to places and planes of existence we do not. Project Phone Home, which I do believe was funded by Reese's Pieces, which was a candy treat company created to help support Area 51 research, alien phenomenon research, and then was included in the film Extraterrestrial.
Yes.
To make it seem like product placement, really it was a funding.
It was a funding. Yeah. You're correct. Your research has yielded fruitful results.
This is probably one of the reasons why I'm banned from the New York Times facilities.
Probably me too. But that's what I learned, and so I've dedicated my life to contacting them personally because I know that they took a very keen interest in me. I do believe that they have planted something behind my ear. So
can I show? Can I see?
Of course.
Is it with three? It is with the three dots.
Yeah, the three dots.
I have seen pictures of that.
The three
before.
dots. There is something there.
Yes,
I know it because every time the ice machine dispenses new ice, I get a tingle right behind the ear.
A chill.
It's a chill. It's I believe
corroborative chill is what I'm trying to say.
Something like that. I think it's the electricals.
Yeah.
I think when the ice machine needs to spin and dump the ice.
Do you feel this has to do with some theories and some experiences shared describing the alien vessels as tremendously cold to human bodies?
I would say that's correct. Yes, I think there is a definite connection between ice and the alien bodies because now, many aliens are classified in different ways. There are the blues, which are our friends, the grays, which account for most of the abductions and the images that if you've seen that.
They're a curious bunch.
They are a curious bunch, but they are also warmongers. I don't want to mince words here. Okay. If you've seen Communion, that wonderful movie with Christopher Walken, those are the grays, and they were there to harm him. The blues have been battling against the grays for longer than Jesus Christ was alive.
Right.
So what we have learned is that the blues, that basically the tides have turned. The blues have now pushed the grays to kind of like an outer rim, kind of like an uncharted area of the galaxy where not a lot of people go. So they're kind of there now, and there's kind of a smaller group now. It's like they're kind of like farming now. They have a planet, and it's like they're really not going to get involved anymore because they kind of lost.
Yes.
And so they're kind of there. So now the blues have established contact with the United States and well, the world.
But do you believe they were asking for help in an intergalactic war or just a vacation spot to get away from the action?
Yes, because they at one point they were. But at one point it were, but here's the problem. Their letter got messed up in the mail.
Lost in translation.
It got lost in translation.
Literally.
So that letter never made it to the desk of the generals.
Okay.
So what happened was that they ended up just kind of figuring it out themselves.
Right.
And so thankfully so, right? So the second letter that we did get from the blues was like, never mind, disregard the first one. We got it. The grays are gone.
Right.
And so now what we're trying to do is we're trying to build a bridge between the two species.
Right.
And basically do what I've told you, which is try to, explore the galaxy. But what I learned is that the grays and the blues at certain times.
Who do you feel contacted you that night in mission? Grays?
Oh, it was the grays.
Because of the abduction?
It was the grays.
It wasn't the blues inviting you to a party?
No, the blues. In fact, from what I learned, and you can go to that website that you mentioned at the top.
Right.
At about that time, the blues contacted their general at the top of the food chain and said that wasn't us.
Right.
It wasn't us.
Right.
And at the time, I didn't know that. I had to get my hands on the declassified documents. And when I did get my hands on them, I realized they still weren't declassified.
Oh, so you had some contraband documents.
I had an inside track.
That's dangerous a place to be in. That's a dangerous place to be in. I knew one guy back in Santa Maria, California, who was always on the run, believing he was on the run from McDonnell Douglas, the airline manufacturer, that they had answers that needed some explaining pertaining to maybe some, experiments and things in the sky. Let me ask you this question.
Sure.
Have you been Do you feel as though you've been contacted again by anyone following this incident? Was that the only one? What do you feel about other stories? It should be noted 33% of UFO sightings do involve a object that is believed to be very fast, coming to a quick and sudden stop in the air.
Correct.
Which does not line up with any of known man-made aerial transportation
That is correct.
Vehicles.
Yes. To answer your first question, yes, I believe that I've been contacted every night since the incident.
Right.
It comes in basically in dreams. The dreams, it's hard to describe them visually, so I'll use words.
Okay.
Cold, scary, algebra, drinks,
Yeah.
unicorns,
Oh, boy.
shiver, happy, sad,
Okay.
happy,
Again.
feelings, shiver again,
Yeah.
and I want to
cold
say the last feeling. It's always elusive, elusive.
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 That's pretty...
So, but they're visions, and usually, now the Greys would give you visions of Armageddon. You would see the world burning. You would see nuclear weapons being used on each other. You would see this, and that, and those were some of the dreams I had immediately following my abduction. However, since the Blues have taken power, you get what I just described, which is a mixed bag, I would say, with all those words. Usually when the unicorn comes in, that's when I'm at my most happy because it kind of reminds me of those old Care Bear cartoons.
Oh,
so that's
those were
always
classics
nice.
from the 80s there.
But-
Grumpy Bear was always my favorite. Yeah.
He's great. He doesn't appear in my dreams, but it's mostly the guy with the heart. But but from what I understand now is when I've talked to people about this, is that these visions, these words that come to me, they are the Blues communicating with you.
To you. Wow.
Basically just telling you, we're still here. We're still here. We're still working together.
We're hanging around.
And we're hanging around. And I believe that sooner or later, they are going to show themselves, because right now they're just doing quick flybys.
The Blues.
The Blues.
Gotcha.
I think that's what was declassified. I don't know. I can't remember if they're Greys or not. It might have been Blues. It could have been Greys. You know, it was a very, topsy-turvy time right now. A lot of movies have explored all this. So you could go back and check all these facts because they line up to a T.
Yeah, facts are out there if you want to find them.
They are. So right now, I do believe that the Blues are the ones that visit us now. They're basically coming to kind of basically it's this idea that they're getting us ready for the grand entrance where everybody, not just Earl on his farm in Iowa.
Right.
Who's I saw that.
Always
and then,
unfortunate that those seem to be the creatures that find the UFOs.
Right.
Yes.
Because what happens
I understand the credibility
every single
problem.
time.
Yes.
Credibility.
Yeah.
No one believes them.
I believe it's a statement on the elite coasts having bias against the flyover states, to be honest.
Exactly.
I understand it.
So what the Blues are basically doing is that there's going to be a quote-unquote coming out party where all the Blues from their galaxies will come. They're going to position themselves all over the world.
In their craft?
In their craft. And basically do kind of what happened to me in Michigan. They're going to get everybody's attention. They're going to flash the lights. Everybody's going to go, shit, here we are. Right? And then they're going to basically go, hi. First contact.
And that's... Do you believe that's when a new dawn of Earth will begin?
This will be the new dawn, absolutely, because right then and there, whether it happens, as I've heard, which is supposed to be September 17th, 2077, is when they plan on doing this.
2077?
Yeah, they've been on their way for a while now. So it's interstellar travel.
Right,
so
it takes a while. Yeah.
It does take a while. So, like, for instance...
Pack a bag of peanuts.
Right.
Yeah.
The guys that we saw in Michigan...
Right.
They left in 1967.
Right.
And it took them 1967 to 2009 to get there.
Many years for us.
It was many years for us, but for them...
A scant few moments.
Probably.
From what we know. It's hard to tell. I've been trying. I'd love to get a Blue on the show. I don't know if that's ever going to happen.
I've been trying.
Riley Calbert, in the time we have remaining here, do you feel as though we are on the cusp of a dawn of a new Earth or an intergalactic war, or do you feel this is just a weekend getaway and we're making much ado about nothing?
It's a loaded question.
Yeah. And I know you're probably still dealing with a lot of emotions.
This idea that this is all hoaxes and fabrications is frankly insulting.
Right. Right.
I have been personally chosen by the Blues to deliver a message,
Selected.
which is a new dawn.
A dawn of a new earth.
A dawn of a new earth.
They
would not lie to me.
Wow.
They would not lie to me and come here and annihilate us. I've spoken with them. I do trust them.
So if they land, you'll be the first to greet them with a flower of peace, not a weapon of war.
I hope so. Kai is ready.
Is that the friend that was with you? Oh, yes. Sorry.
But,
sorry.
He is going to be with me.
Right.
We are both working together right now. We have built actually. I don't know if you can see this. I've taken a picture.
Yeah,
this
show
is
me
the
here.
this is the really
This is your BlackBerry.
Yes, this is my
device here?
BlackBerry. Here's the picture. So this is a 6 foot sign, 6 foot
Right.
deep, 6 foot wide, 6 by 6 by 6.
Wow.
666.
Right. Oh, wow.
That says,
gave me chills.
"Welcome to Earth." Now we ran out of room here, so you can't see the H. So it's "Welcome to Earth."
you guys-
we have that sign.
You're prepared for their return.
On our barn. Yep, it's there. And so what we're going to do is in 2077, we're going to go up on the roof.
Right.
And we're going to basically, pop some beers.
Right.
Maybe smoke some drugs. And we're just going to be ready because they're going to come. They're going to usher in the new dawn. And they're basically going to say that the Greys are no longer.
Right.
That war is non-existent. And now they're going to help not only the universe, but they're going to help. Basically, the first step is they're going to unite Earth.
Right.
Then we're going to unite together. And then it's off to the cosmos to, basically do what that Captain Marvel did.
Yeah.
Do the thing.
It's beautiful to hear you describe it.
Thank you.
We believe that aliens have been here.
Oh, yeah, they've been here.
Your take on the Blues, your take on the Greys, I think is stunningly accurate and lines up with many other stories out there. I focus sometimes a lot with what we think's already here. UFOs are often viewed as what is yet to come or shows up occasionally, but I do believe there are traces of them here, including technology.
Oh, yeah.
I think
for sure.
some of we're waiting on them to unveil maybe a faster modem that they might have left behind to help us with their internet speed.
I would believe it.
Microwaves, I do believe in 1982, they perfected the art of microwaves and gave us an updated version of what we had failed to create properly.
Yeah.
All that said, Riley, Calbert, I cannot thank you enough for coming on here and being the first guest on Mysteries in the Unexplained on the Napzok Files podcast feed. I hope it seems as though you are well adjusted and seem to be at peace with what happened to you as we close. Is that accurate?
Yeah, well, I'm very much at peace. I think it really helps that I am on medication. I think it helps that I meditate. And I also think it helps that I have an alien metal piece in my ear that regulates my emotions. So that helps.
That's interesting. I wonder if that would help a lot of people in the world today, an emotion regulator. That is it for the episode this week. I want to thank my guest, filmmaker, alien enthusiast, and perhaps envoy to our future friends, the Blues, Riley Calbert. Thank you again for coming in.
Thank you for having me and for hearing my story. It means a lot.
Absolutely. To hear more of his story, you can go to Riley Around on Twitter and find out more about him. For those who are normal listeners of the Napzok Files podcast feed, we thank you very much for supporting and giving this first show a try. We know new shows can be different, and different, as we often learn in this world, is often met with a sense of the dubious and the untrusting. But I think if you'll give us a chance, you'll find you'll be enthralled by mysteries and the unexplained. I'm Nolan Guthrie. We want to thank all of those who support the Napzok Files podcast feed and Ken Napzok on Patreon at patreon.com/Ken Napzok, including the executive producer tier, which is DJ Snacks, Thomas Risling, Lethal, Logan X, Matthew Simon, Bador, Matt Thompson, the brothers Bahata, Tamor and Abdul, Donna Long, Nathan Ovendale, and Zach Anderson, who lives in Wisconsin, the leading location of alien encounters over the last 5 years. We'll see you next time here on Mysteries and the Unexplained.